Doma fam, Brian and I are back for a quick release to your quads, shins, and ankles. Our runners and heavy lifters out there, this is for you. You won't need any props, so grab your mat, meet us right back here. Let's get started. All right, welcome back. We're gonna start nice and simple for some. We're gonna start kneeling, but not just kneeling. So you'll come sitting on your knees, but I want you to notice if your toes or your heels rather fall off to the side. I want you to pull them back in as far as you can. So see if you can squeeze your inner arches together, bring your heels together, and then all you're gonna do is come sitting back on to your calf muscles. Now, the heels might splay back open, it's fine, but you want to work your heels towards each other. And this might start to get kind of intense while it starts to open up through your shins. You'll release some tension from your knees. You can feel it into your ankles. And we'll be here for about another 30 seconds or so. So see if you can sit up tall. Breathe. You might start to feel a little kind of grabbing in your arches, especially if you are always in a pair of shoes in that kind of flexed position of the foot. This can get rather intense. Just see if you can kind of breathe through it. You're almost there. Yeah, we got about 10 seconds left. So just take this time, find some space. You can do this anytime, right? You totally have 30 seconds to sit on your knees, or your shins rather. Pull them together, big breaths, 3, 2, and then you can back off. So lift your hips. And all you're gonna do from here is just fold forward over your legs. As you fold forward into this child's pose, I want you to bring your heels back together. And just see if you can pull them back together. You might push the floor away a little bit, work your hips towards your heels, but see if you can bring some of that sensation of your heels coming all the way together. You know, even just being in this position can be rather intense for the feet. So if you are here and you don't need any help, like you don't need to pull your heels a little closer in order for you to feel intensity, then just don't. It's fine. But we're working towards bringing your heels towards each other comfortably and the tops of your ankles being able to relax onto your mat. We all are still in the process, at different levels. So don't worry about where you're at today. Just worry about giving yourself your best. Okay. I'm all the way back up to a seat. We're going to stay sitting on our shins, but this time you'll lean off a little bit, bring your heels back together, and then I want you to work to point your toes as intensely as you can. So like curl your toes in towards you, and then you're just going to hold it here. And your foot might cramp, maybe like mine, maybe more, maybe less, and you may start to feel some of that cramping into your calf muscles. With as much compassion as I can say this, good. Good. What that's doing is waking up the soles of your feet. And especially if you tend to just kind of put your foot in a shoe all the time, then they get kind of numb, It's kind of like when you put those booties on dogs and they're like all over the place. It's the same kind of thing for us too. We've just kind of adapted. But the more that we can get in touch with our feet, the happier the rest of our body will be. So just a few more moments and then I'll leave your feet alone and your shins and ankles. You're almost there. Hold. Point them even more, even if it feels like they're releasing. See if you can point them just a little bit more. Squeeze them in. More. Squeeze. Big breaths. You're almost there. And let it go. Good. Okay. You can kind of shake that out a little bit. And then all you're going to do is kick your left foot out in front of you. Kick your foot out in front and then slide your hips to the inside of your right heel. So I'm actually going to do the opposite of Brian just so you guys can have a visual of both sides. So a couple of things that you want to be mindful of. Bring your knee in line with your hip, and then your heel just brushes up against the outside of your hip and toes point straight back. So you want to make sure that the toes are not pointing off to the side in either direction. And then bring your legs back together as far as they go. Couple of things that you can do if you feel like you're falling way off towards the side is you can roll up a towel and just stick it under your right or left bum. Okay, and then take a nice big breath in, lift your chest, and on your exhale, we're gonna walk back. So take your hands behind you, Slowly, this might feel like plenty. This might have felt like plenty, but if you're wanting to go a little bit further, you can come down to the forearms and just stay here. Again, this might be enough, but if there's a little more hiding in there, then you might start to walk yourself down even further. And if you start by letting your head drop back, then that you can catch yourself a little bit, and then you just kind of tuck your chin towards your chest. And then final would be to bring your arms over your head and grab for opposite elbows. Just breathe and stay. Be here for about 30 more seconds. Whatever level you have paused at, breathe. Make sure your knee still stays on the mat. Dull, aching pain, good usually. Sharp shooting pain, not so good. But what's most important is that you're listening to your body. So if something internally is telling you to back off, then please listen to that. No one else knows your body as good as you do. Take it slow. Start to walk yourself back up. Push through your elbows and then through your palms and come all the way back up to a seat. From here, you'll sit up nice and tall, lift your chest, and start to fold forward over your leg. Just take your time. Nice and slow. Just see what's there. You might take your hands wide and kind of notice if you're falling off to one side. You can push yourself so you kind of even out that sensation of stretch. Let yourself come down as far as you can. From here, in your depth, you'll flex your toes back towards your face, and then you'll point your toes out. So flex and then point. And just notice the difference. Flex and point. And we're just bringing some ankle mobility here. Flex and point. So if you run a lot or you lift a lot, having some ankle mobility, foot connectivity can really be great to kind of level up your distance or your weight. Good. All right, let's take the time to back out. You can roll off to either side, and then you'll just switch. So take a moment, right? Don't rush. You might wiggle out one leg and then switch sides. So again, just bring your heel and your hip to find that little bit of connection. Toes are pointing straight back. If you need to roll up a little towel or something and slide it underneath your hips, do so. Nice big breath in to lift your chest, and then nice and slow start to guide yourself back. So start by walking your hands back, then maybe to an elbow or forearm. You might go again and release your head. Just stop whenever your body says stop. And then finally, you can bring your arms over your head, grab for opposite elbows. Nice big steady breaths. I'm here for about 30 more seconds. Come back to tuning into your body. Come back to listening to your breath. Just turning on that kind of observation to what's happening in your body right now. Does this feel beneficial for my body? Right? Because good and bad is kind of relative. Beneficial is more informational. And we can start to take our way out. Through your elbows, lift up, press through your palms, all the way up. Big breath in, sit up tall, and then slowly you'll walk yourself forward again. What's important when we start these processes of opening and creating space, building strength, any of that, is that we're turning on that kind of awareness, the observation. So flex your left toes or your right toes, whichever one, fully towards you, and then you'll point and flex, point and flex. Because the more aware we are of our bodies, the less likely we are to injure them, because we'll find that spot before we go to the tipping point, right? So just see if you can pay attention, if for nothing else but to avoid injury. I mean, there's a ton of other really, really good reasons too, but that's a good one to start with. Okay, let's make our way back up. You can kick both feet out in front of you. Ooh, kind of give them a wiggle. Release, maybe stillness, maybe motion feels better for you. And then you can kick your feet out to the right or to the left, and we'll meet in a tabletop position. So from this tabletop position, you'll take your right foot in between your hands and then lunge all the way up. So into a nice low lunge. Couple of things you want to be mindful of in your lunge: knee over heel. Always behind your toes. So you could slide your toes out in front of you a little bit more if you feel like there might be a little bit more space. But I want you to keep your hips square, your shoulders over your hips. And then this way we find that nice long stretch down the front side of the quadricep and nice big breaths. So this might feel like plenty of stretch for you. Now, if you'd like to add a little bit more intensity here, you can slowly rock a little bit more forward into your right, come up off the kind of bony part of your knee or patella and roll to this muscly part of your quadricep and grab for your foot. And then pull your heel in as far as it goes. And then breathe as much as you possibly can. Because it can be rather intense. So none of this you have to do for super long, 30 seconds, a minute, something like that. 5 breaths, whatever kind of timing mechanism feels best for you. These are just a few ways to create some space on the front side of your body, relieve some of those muscles that get tight from running and lifting and all sorts of stuff. Okay, if you took the quad stretch, really slow, release it. Shift your body's weight back, plant your palms, come back into your tabletop position. We'll do the other side to finish this out. Left foot steps forward in between your hands, right? If it doesn't step forward easily, don't worry about it. Who cares? Just set yourself up, right? No judgments, no criticisms. When you're ready, press yourself up into a lunge. Square your hips, square your shoulders, sit up tall. This might feel like plenty of sensation for you, but if you have a little bit more space today, you might start to bend your left, reach and grab, bend your right rather, reach and grab on. Ooh. So it can be a little wiggly. If the knee ever gets a little sensitive, you can place a little pillow or something underneath your knee. Common that maybe one side is a little more tight than the other. This is always my tighter side, so just be mindful of it. It's okay to have a tighter side. That's pretty normal. We're just working through it. Okay, take your time. Nice and slow, release. Come back into a kneeling position, and then that's it. Those are just a couple of stretches that you can add to your repertoire to get you ready for a long run or a heavy set. Thank you so much for joining us, and can't wait to see you soon. Bye, guys.